Hi guys, Redneck Computer Geek. Welcome to the frame reinforcement part of the Mud Wizard build. This is for the ATLTF build-off also. If you're not a member, you really should go check out atltf.com. So, if you're going to be using your Craftsman for doing off-road stuff, you're going to need to reinforce the frame. If you're going to be doing any plowing with it, or if you're going to be using it for agricultural work it just wasn't meant for. Now, the mantra of this video is going to be, if it's bolted, it should have been welded. Keep in mind, this was built to mow grass. It was never built to off-road, so we're going to be taking it one step further than the manufacturer did. What we have here is we have over on the side, I've got my Hobart 140 welder. I love it. I run 0.03 flux core in it all day long, and it's a great welder. You could do this with a simple $99 Harbor Freight welder also, or one of the stick welders that they sell at Walmart for like 88 bucks. All of this is doable with one of those. The other thing we have is this Chicago electric grinder, because we're going to have to clean out all of the joints before we end up doing the welding. And the other thing, of course, is our welding helmet. Now, what are we going to be doing here? Now, remember the mantra that I said is, if it's bolted, it should have been welded. We're going to be targeting joints. This particular joint right here, down through. I'll post a picture of it up close. You're going to weld the red line. Now, over here on this side, we're going to have this piece right here. You're going to weld the red line. Over on this side, you've got this plate that's put in for the shifter, and also for if you have a hydro mower, you're going to have this plate. You're going to weld the red lines that I have marked out in this photo right now. Next, you're going to come back here and you're going to find this back plate. This back plate should never come off. If it does, you will flex the frame, you will snap your transmissions, and everybody on Made Mud Mowers Facebook group will probably end up laughing at you and telling you you were dumb. Now, were you dumb? Guess that depends on how you look at it. But never take this back plate off. This is what holds it rugged, square, and where it's supposed to be. You're going to take and you're going to weld this totally square. Then what's going to happen next is up here in this corner, there's going to be a little plate you're going to have to build, and that's where the 3/4 inch tubing comes in. If you cut out a piece that fits between this back plate and fits between this area here, you can set it in, weld it up solid, and the other thing is that also gives you something you can drill mounts into later. The other thing that we're going to be doing on this is this style of frame does not have the body piece that comes across here. It does not have the bolt across piece that comes across here in the newer versions that gave it more of a rigidity. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting a 3/4 inch piece across the back side of this and down across this area here, like the photo I'm posting up right now illustrates. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another piece from here to here, butt it up across the top. The other thing we're going to do, if we have some extra left over, is we're going to end up putting in a piece across the underside of where the seat plate sits. And the reason being is because these seat plates end up eventually bending. They warp to one side. And they end up eventually looking like this. If you can see this in the video, it is catastrophically warped to one side. After that, we're going to move into this area here. I've got the gas tank in here, and I've got the first gen steering column in so that we can see the fact that we can bolt right directly through from this hole to this hole. So what that means is we can take a piece of 3/4 inch plate and we can put 3/4 inch square steel and we can put it in here and weld it in place, and this will be nice and solid and never move ever again. So, let's get cutting. Here, 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 and here. You're going to grind all of those in so that you can get to it with the welder. Got a little overzealous there. We don't want to come all the way down into the frame. We just want to do this section up in here. Mess that one up. Alright, so as you can see, we're just scoring that in. There's the score there. We're going to come around to this side. Now, we went too far here, but we're going to repaint the whole thing anyway. But we want to score this. Then we're going to come back around. We've got that scored. This scored. We did that edge. And we did this top edge. And then over here, we got the score down through right here. Now later on, what we're going to do is clean up these edges here in order to be able to weld in little plates. And then on both sides, we're going to clean up this edge. And we're going to clean the square here and this corner here so that we can put in our tubing. So one piece will go here, the other piece will come across with a piece of flat plate on top of the tubing. So we'll get this cleaned up a little bit, and then I'll grab the camera and I'll show you guys a little bit. But for those who are about to go and type in all your keyboard warrior stuff about how bad my welds are, keep in mind, I'm a computer tech by trade. I just do this stuff for fun. Alright, so let's come in and take a look at my horrible welds. There's the front one there. I will probably redo this seam a little bit later. There's that one there. Came across underneath. Then up and over the top, like so. And down through there. Across that. Oops, apparently I forgot to go and scour that flux core residue off on that one. There's that. There's that. And the front one over here. Okay, so what we've got going on at this point is we've got our riser here, we've got our cross beam here that we're going to tack into place, and then we've got our caps that are going to set in like this. Now, the reason why I want these to be a flat top cap is that your seat bracket sits right about here, only up about this tall, and I want something that later on, if I want, I can bolt into, drill through, or something like that, just in case this one doesn't happen to line up for whatever reason or seat upgrade I do in the future. So at this point, I'm going to tack weld, do a bead, tack weld, do a bead, tack weld down here, tack weld down in here, and then I'll fill in the rest as I go. So obviously it's going to need more cleanup before paint, but there's our bracket piece welded on, and our cross member, and our piece welded on there. Now I need to finish up a few things. I need to weld in here. I need to weld the underside of this once I flip the frame, and I need to do the same on the other side, but you get the idea. So from here, we're going to work on this piece next. We're going to cut a piece that fits inside of here on both sides and weld that up. The other thing that we're going to do if we have the material left over is weld a piece from here to here so that we prevent that nice little warped piece I showed you earlier in the film. So now we've got our little piece like this that we've got laid up inside of here. And this is another reason why I use 3/4 inch, is it fits in above this nub here without having to monkey with a bunch of stuff. And just as a nice size to work with. 16 gauge 3/4 welds really nice and easy and simplistic, even with flux core. So we're just going to weld that up and call it good. So if you happen to have what you had when you tore down all of the deck stuff, this is the up and down lever for the deck. And what I just noticed was that it's almost exactly the right size to fit in here. And it's really rugged steel. Now keep in mind when you bolt in from underneath, you'd be bolting from this side if you ever needed to put a through bolt here. But these are tapped, which means that you shouldn't have to have anything to do with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark and cut this off. I'm going to flat top this with the grinder, and then I'm going to set it in equal with these edges and weld it right up. There we are, just like that. So there we go. For some perspective, this just became that. So I'm going to weld it across here, weld it across here, and weld it across here, and we'll call it good. Alright, and for our last trick, we're going to go and take a piece of this 3/4 inch 16 gauge, and like I said, it's just the right size for everything. We're going to make it into a bolt-in cross member that goes right here, just behind the gas tank. And what you do is you take the end of it and you cut a notch opposite of each other, and you take your bolt on the end, your nut I mean, on the end of your bolt, and you slide it in and just kind of give it a thump on something. And now you weld right into that piece in order to lock it in, and you do the same on the other side. There we are. Now we're going to weld in those pieces, and we'll have a bolt-in cross member. Alright, so now that everything is cooled down a little bit, and we drilled out the holes just a tiny bit more, and just to make sure, we're going to test fit our gas tank, make sure it still fits where it's supposed to, and now nothing wants to move. So that concludes what we're going to be doing for the frame welding as far as the rear of the frame and the middle section is concerned. Normally I wouldn't worry too much about bracing the front on one of these frames because your torque area that you're going to twist things is in the back where the transmission is. Now, I'm going to be doing some reinforcement on the front of this frame, but it's going to be different than you normally would because I'm going to be trying to set up an I-beam front suspension. Something similar to what a Ford Ranger from the 1990s would use. Now, the next video on this will be taking the first generation Craftsman steering that came in this frame and converting this over to a second generation steering box. There's a couple other people that have done that, and I'll be including down in the description some info that you can go check out, including a couple of other channels that you might find interesting. So go check out down in the description. There's one video that somebody made on it that perhaps will give you a pre-runner on what's coming next. Have a good day, guys.